In this video, I'm going to give you 5 tips for adding value to a sponsor if you don't have a huge following. What could possibly be more important than your number of followers? This is AthleteStory, the place for athletes who want to own their sports career, and I'm your host, AnjaBolbjerg. You know, people check you out before making any deals with you, right? They go to your social platforms to see more about who you are, and yes, they do check out your number of followers. So what do you do if you don't have a huge number of followers on social media? Let me take you back in time to when I started competing on the World Cup in mogul skiing. There was no social media back then. I would go down sometimes to a post office to find a fax machine and send a press release that way, for real. Okay, before I get on with how we used to live 10 of us in a shoebox on the highway and how bad it was, everything, here's my point. It had its advantages, and it was probably easier to grab the attention of the right people than it is today. And I did a comeback in skiing in a different discipline 5 years later, and the technology and the habits of the media were totally different. We could now take people along on a competitive adventure with photos and videos, and all of a sudden people actually realized what I'd been doing for 20 years that they'd only ever read about, or maybe they'd watched on TV during the Olympics the 2 times I went. But that's about it. Okay, long story short, there are so many awesome platforms for athletes now that today the challenge to nurture a sponsor is more about how to stand out than about getting your photo out there in front of tons of people as it was back then. That's the easy part today. That's why I recommend that you focus on this. And here are my 5 tips that will beat the number of followers anytime. Then you can always work on increasing the number of followers, quality followers that is. If you dial down these 5 parts and you proactively show that you don't chase followers for the sake of followers, you're going for the right followers, then you can put together a strategy with a sponsor on how to reach more of them later. Okay, so you ready? Here are my 5 tips on how to add value to a sponsor without having a huge following. Tip number 1, show other strengths. Your communication skills, your attitude, your professionalism, the quality of your photos and posts, your personality and edge. Those are all things that make you stand out and be valuable to a sponsor. Tip number 2, being able to explain who your followers are. And this is where LinkedIn comes into the picture, because LinkedIn allows you to know way more about the people who engage with your content and who checks out your profile than other platforms do. You can see where they work, what positions they have, where they're based, and a whole lot more. And this is extremely valuable to a potential sponsor or to your sponsor and to yourself, of course. Tip number 3, use LinkedIn as a platform for sharing your content. It will help you and your sponsor stand out again because it's not crowded with athletes as other platforms are. And you can actually show that you have value off the field as well. But your content has to match the platform in style and in tone, and that might be a little bit different. And that leads us to tip number 4. Show your sponsor some previous posts and articles, which you can go ahead and make right now if you don't have them, and show how you plan to communicate the sponsorship further along this road. Demonstrating that you've put thought into this, it shows that you care about the outcome for the sponsor as well. You don't have to give them a full media content plan, but let them know that you post 1 article a month, for example, or a video, something that will add value to their image and their branding. And then go ahead and make a list of ideas for articles and videos that you can post when you get back home, just so that you know that you can deliver on what you promise. Tip number 5, be generous with tips and lessons and even imagery from your sport. High-level sports is inspiring to a lot of people, and doing this will actually help you reflect on what you're learning on your journey. And of course, that can be valuable to someone else, right? It doesn't have to be super intellectual or original. Often just a quick reminder about something that we all know is even the best, like with practice comes skills, or enjoy the process. Simple, useful tips or lessons with a personal touch. And the personal touch is important to not make it cheesy. And that can be a photo from your training or traveling that relates to that tip. Okay. Just for fun now, give me an example of either the coolest or the cheesiest quote you've ever seen and place it in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed these tips. Let's get you started. I can't wait to connect with you, okay? Do reach out. Take care. Bye-bye.